Good morning. I'm Allison, and I have your announcements for this coming week. Oh. Okay, so our next service will be August the 25th. Thank you. And then starting September 8th, we'll be back to our regular weekly schedule. Oh, you've probably been getting some emails about the new bylaws. There will be 2 town halls on September 8th and the 15th after service to present the changes, and you can get answers to any questions you may have. There'll be a special meeting on October 6th after service where we need a 2/3 majority of members to vote in favor of passing these recommended amendments. And you can also email us at bylaws@nuc.ca if you have any questions. Yay, okay, I'm a bit biased here. We're having a karaoke night on Saturday, September the 7th, so that's the Saturday before our first service back weekly. And that will be at 7:30 here in the Raffos Hall. And I'll be hosting, and I'll be supported by DJ Jojo Strakowski. Please come and bring your voice and a sense of fun. Now, next service that we have, as I said, is August 25th. After service, we'll be having a community potluck. So we're going to be going over to the Carrot Common rooftop. I understand that it's accessible. I haven't seen how that works, but I've been told that it is. So we'll be able to enjoy our foods together up on the rooftop deck by the Carrot Common. 12:30 to 2:30, we have that space for us exclusively. All are welcome. Yes, please bring food. That's the potluck part of it. Okay, the Danforth Multi-Faith Commons has a speaker event for us. It is to help us learn how to support the Grassy Narrows fight for Mercury justice, and that will be September the 11th at 7 p.m. in Raffos Hall here. Please come and learn about the decades-long struggle by the Grassy Narrows people to fight against the forces polluting their lands and destroying their health. We hope you can come. Welcome to Neighborhood. People are needed for our communications committee. There are ongoing projects like website updates, Sunday service announcements, weekly email announcements, content for our cappuccino screen in the cappuccino room, and promotional materials like posters or postcards or signs and bookmarks. You don't have to do it all, but if there's any piece of that appeals to you, please contact our president, Tony, at president@nuc.ca. It's right behind you. There you go. He snuck up on you. Oh, and this is just, we have a show going on in our gallery upstairs. The lights will be put on after service. If you're interested in going up and taking a look, there's a few on the front wall, and there's actually a couple of actual dioramas that these photos have been taken from. That show will be up until September. There's going to be something on Thursday, August the 22nd, from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m., maybe a reception, an artist talk, I see. Neighborhood Spirit Choir will be resuming on Monday, August the 19th and September the 9th for our annual, from 7 to 9 p.m. on those Mondays for our annual water ceremony on September the 15th. If you're interested in trying us out, please contact our music director, Suzanne. No auditions are required. music@nuc.ca is the best way to reach Suzanne. For our water communion service, we invite you to collect and bring a small sample of water from your summer adventures. The service will be held on Sunday, September 15th, and if you don't bring your own, don't worry, there will be some available here that we've saved and added to over 20 years of water ceremonies here at Neighborhood. Our services are created by our staff and volunteers. Suzanne Mazars is our music director, Julia Thompson, our director of lifespan learning, myself as service weaver, and we have Mark Tim on our AV desk and Gordon Thorne giving us some support as well. We thank our greeters, money counters, lifespan learning volunteers, and coffee committee, all of whom are also named on our screen in the cappuccino room. Next, not this Sunday, the first Sunday that we have a service in 2 weeks is going to be a fire ritual. The speakers come from the ritual small group. The music is being provided by our spirit band. Service weaver will be Peter Marmarick, and our time for all ages provided by Julia Thompson. Oh, and we have one special announcement. I'd like to invite Tony to make this. Thank you.
Thanks, Allison. Good morning, everyone. It's wonderful to see you. Our ministerial transition has been an adventure, and many of you may know that the standard way to operate when a minister retires from a congregation is to search for an interim minister, somebody entirely unknown to the congregation who will come in for a year or two to help us understand who we are and prepare for the process of calling our next settled minister. Well, that didn't really work out for us because almost every congregation in North America seemed to be looking for an interim minister at the same time. So we were forced to onto our own devices, and I think fantastic things have resulted as our wonderful staff and so many of us have stepped up to keep things interesting, spiritual, enlightening, and just in general welcoming over the last couple of years. But a very key part of that process has been Reverend Pat Trudeau. Now, she is a ordained minister who was actually ordained here in Neighborhood and was before that a longtime member of our congregation and therefore friends with many of us. And she stepped up first to do pastoral care for us for a year, and then over the last year to be our contract minister, and has done fantastic work. And it really felt in a lot of ways, unlike the standard transition process, it's really felt like something coming from within. But of course, she also has the whole process of theological school and working at other congregations, that experience that she brought to us. So we're very grateful. And a few of us realized over the last little while that we never really formally expressed our thanks to Pat. Now, Pat's not here right now, but maybe she'll see this on video. But we'll also send her a letter with the same content. And so we prepared, it was Moira MacDonald and Allison and I prepared a little statement just to sort of sum up what the wonderful things that Pat's done for us over the last couple of years. Neighborhood has been going through a time of transition since the retirement of our founding minister in May 2022, and as we have searched for an interim minister in preparation for a full-time settled minister. Throughout, we have received great support from Reverend Pat Trudeau, first as our Minister of Pastoral Care, and then until June's end as our part-time contract minister. Originally a member of Neighborhood and later ordained here, Rev Pat has contributed to the life and welfare of our community in many important ways. Among those, she has supported congregants through the challenges and questions of their lives by offering pastoral care. She has helped develop our membership through her vision, educational sessions, carefully crafted joining ritual, and warm hospitality. She has aided the board in seeing its work through a spiritual lens and brought her UU experience and ministerial expertise to helping the service planning team and weavers develop a year of thoughtful and meaningful services. She has helped us stay accountable to our 8th principle commitment through her messages of inspiration and special workshops, supported by her husband and NUEC friend, Dr. Wilburn Hayden. Throughout her time serving at Neighborhood, she has brought her leadership to help build bridges with our Danforth Multi-Faith Commons partners and work with the East Toronto Multi-Faith Committee. On behalf of our congregation, we would like to express our deep gratitude to Reverend Pat for sharing her many gifts with us, some of which I have named, many more which perhaps others in the room have experienced in quieter ways. Reverend Pat has brought a spirit of fun and passionate enthusiasm for Unitarian Universalism to her work at NUUC, and these have lit a flame in us too. We extend our best wishes to her as she pursues new directions in her ministry, and while we bid her farewell, we look forward to seeing her in our community again. In the meantime, the board and the ministerial leadership search team expect to have more news to share with you soon, so stay tuned.
Thank you, Tony. Okay, we welcome you to our Neighborhood Unitarian Universalist Congregation service. Thank you for joining us, whether you are here in person or with us on Zoom. My name is Allison Kabayama, and I will be your service weaver this morning. We start today's service by creating sacred space. So let's start with electronics. Sacred space is fragile and easily destroyed or interrupted by ringing and distracting devices. So please turn them off now. You can turn them back on when we're done. Now I invite you to join me in reading our invocation. I guess we're going to know it anyway. Let us cast the circle of a sacred space here. Let us cast the circle of a cherished space here, a space of safety, a place of forgiveness, a place of love. If we want the world to change, we must craft in our space and in ourselves the seeds that grow a different kind of life, a life of graciousness, of creative intelligence, place of life and spirit for ourselves and our families. Today I'd like to invite David Zalakar to come forward and light our chalice. Together we can sing our chalice lighting song. We light this chalice to remember, to light the fire within our own hearts. Our prelude this morning will be by our guest, Roula Said.
So I feel like this poem and song is really so perfect to follow the chalice lighting. And I just saw a picture of the poet, Hiba Abu Nada, come up on the screen. Just to tell you a little bit about her. Hiba is a woman, beautiful woman in her 30s from Gaza, who we lost in an airstrike on the 20th of October of last year. And in the weeks prior to her death, she wrote a series of tweets, and some of them were so poetic that another poet and translator by the name of Huda Fakhreddin translated the poetry into English. And this one is called Not Just Passing. And I think maybe you might see why it resonates with the message of the chalice. Yesterday, a star said to the little light in my heart, we are not just transients passing. Do not die Beneath this glow, some wanderers go on walking. You were made, first created out of love. So carry nothing but love to those who are trembling. One day all gardens sprouted from our names, from what remained of heart's yearning. And when it came of age, this ancient language has taught us to heal others with our longing. How to be a heavenly scent, to relax their tightening lungs, a welcome sigh, a draft of oxygen. Oh, little light in me, don't die. Even if all the galaxies of the world close in. Oh, little light in me, say, enter my heart in peace. All of you, all of you, all of you, come in.
Oh my, thank you so much. I start by acknowledging that the Mississaugas of the New Credit First Nations, the Wendat, Anishinaabe, and the Haudenosaunee Confederacy lived here before me and are living here now, together with other First Nations, Métis, and Inuit. I offer my gratitude to our First Nations for their care for and teachings about our earth and our relations. I will work to honor those teachings. Let's take a moment to ground ourselves and feel our bodies connected to this land, perhaps like other small and medium-sized animals who also feel this planet as home. We all belong. And now, as we continue in sacred space, welcome. Thank you so much, Roula Said, who will be our speaker and provider of music today. I will share a little more about Roula later in the service. We have a wiggle room if you need some quiet space to be alone. It's right over there. At Neighborhood, we are open to many beliefs and learn from many traditions. We welcome all people who are seeking to enrich their spiritual life or to find a spiritual community. If you are visiting us in person for the first time, we welcome you and encourage you to come several more times. Please also stay for coffee time. If you take a red mug, we'll know that you're interested in having a conversation perhaps about what brought you here, or maybe you'd like to find out more about our community. We encourage you to sample several services to get a feel for who we are. Our mission at Neighborhood is to empower spiritual growth and shared action for the care of our world. Our theme for our summer services is summer. When I read the blurb about today's service, which is, what is it to embody love to the fullest possible capacity in each moment, in the face of anything, even the unacceptable? I thought immediately of lyrics from hymn number 1015 in our teal hymnal, which is, I know I can. A couple of the verses go like this. Though sorrows heal my soul, and burdens make me strong, though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. Later it talks about hope awaiting at every turn, and I know we will go on. I sense the hopefulness and surprising shift from fear to hope in those words. This led me to the following poem by Rumi, who wrote, every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Welcome and entertain them all. I found a passage by a New Zealand writer and critic, Catherine Mansfield, which jumped out at me, and she said, everything in life that we really accept undergoes a change. So suffering must become love. That is the mystery. I recalled a story that was shared here before about a poor farmer in China. He didn't have a lot of money, and instead of a tractor, he used an old horse to plow his field. One afternoon, while working in his field, the horse dropped dead. Everyone in the village said, "Oh, what a horrible thing to happen." The farmer said simply, "We shall see." He was so at peace and at calm that everyone in the village got together and admiring his attitude, gave him a new horse as a gift. Everyone's reaction now was, "Oh, what a wonderful fellow." And the farmer said, "We shall see." A couple days later, the new horse jumped a fence and ran away. Everyone in the village shook their heads and said, "Your horse ran away. What terrible luck." He said, "We shall see." A few days later, the horse returned home, leading a few wild horses back to the farm as well. The neighbors shouted, "Your horse has returned," and brought several horses home with him. What great luck. The farmer said, "We shall see." Later in the year, the farmer's young boy went out riding on the horse and fell and broke his leg. Everyone in the village said, "What a shame for the poor boy." And the farmer said, "We shall see." 2 days later, the army came into the village to draft new recruits. When they saw that the farmer's son had a broken leg, they decided not to recruit him. Everyone said, "What a fortunate young man." The farmer smiled again and said, "We shall see." I think that sometimes we might feel uncertain and perhaps experience fear of rejection or other harm that can arise when we encounter an other who is unknown to us. But what if our perception was a little wrong, and this was just an other that seemed or seems dangerous or different from us, but in fact is not so at all? And what if they hold the key to understanding ourselves and those around us in a new and revealing way? What if they were to become a friend and we just didn't know it yet? This is a time that we take to greet the friendly neighbors around you. After you've greeted a few neighbors, perhaps turn to the camera at the back, on the back wall, and offer a greeting to those who are joining us via Zoom virtually. Doug will sound a chime to end, but now please take a moment to say hello to the neighbors around you. When you we haven't seen each other in 2 weeks or more, we'll be able to have more time in coffee time. Roula has a song for us to join in with, and then that.
I think we're going to do a little round that some people might already know. Make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other gold. A circle's round, it has no end. That's how long I want to be your friend. Make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other gold. One is round, it has no end. That's how I want to be your friend. Make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other gold. A circle's round, it has no end. That's how long I want to be your friend.
Thank you. Well, I'm Julia, and for our Time for All Ages today, we are going to be presenting a poem in the form of a play. And this poem was written by Roula, and when she first read it, I thought it's called The Giant, the Mermaid, and the Whale. And when she first read it, I thought, it was so visual. I really imagined all these things happening. And then she said that she had actually performed it with a group as a play, right? Yeah. So now we're gonna do the same thing. And the part of the giant will be played by Steve. Steve was a. Oops, you're. The giant has had kind of a checkered career because it started out, I just have to show you this, all right? It started out, it had clothing on it as this character here, but it sort of became a bobblehead, so Steve came through. And our lovely mermaid is going to be acted by yes, no, I'm looking at Jillian.
There we go.
Yes, in the water, in the water you would be fine. It's just, of course, you're a fish on land. I mean, what do you want, right? The Giant, the Mermaid, and the Whale. A giant once lived by the sea, a creature fearsome as can be. He had no friends, no family, so lonely, sad was he. A mermaid spied him one gray day as she came swimming by his way. His tears were flowing as to say, "Will anyone ever love me?" The mermaid felt his breaking heart. She swore that day she'd do her part, for she was kind and brave and smart. She knew how to be friendly.
Friend, I see you're all alone. I feel your sadness in my bones. Let me caress you with my tones. I give my friendship freely.
She sang to him with voice so sweet, it soothed him from his head to feet. His poor heart nearly skipped a beat with the magic of her melody.
Dear creature of the boundless sea, why do you have such care for me? Your beauty is like poetry, and I am so unworthy.
Let those false words move aside. I see the soul that shines inside. I heard it in the tears you cried. You are a friend most worthy.
And with her words, the giant grew, yet taller by a foot or two, stood straight as anyone could do. As anyone could do, feeling his heart grow happy.
This joy is greater than I dreamed. Moments ago it surely seemed I'd be lonely till eternity.
Upon the land your size is great. It has won you fear and hate. But in the sea, my friend, just wait. You'll soon have giant company.
She called her whale friends with a song. Maybe a little bit farther down so I can see the giant. The giant has to be seen a little farther down. Yes, good. They swam forth in a mighty throng. Their king, 110 feet long, made the giant man feel tiny. The whale roared, "Come and swim with me!" The giant leaped into the sea, as giddy as a child of 3, excited beyond fantasy. Across the worlds, they tell the tale of a giant riding upon a whale. And sometime, should your ship set sail, you may meet them on the sea.
It wasn't so scary after all. We are so fortunate to be able to receive our guest, Roula Said, as she provides our message of inspiration today. Roula has come to Neighborhood previously as our musical guest. In addition to being a performing artist, she is a metaphysical minister. Roula is a weaver of ceremonies in movement, word, and song. A Palestinian-Canadian, Roula is deeply influenced by Arabic music and Sufi poetry. Welcome, Roula.
All right. I didn't practice on this mic. Thought I had a headset. Let's see how it goes. First of all, I'm so honored to be here with you. Oh, I just smacked myself in the face. Let's do that. So I'm a little more in this center. How's that? Is that better? Yeah. Very honored and delighted and a little nervous to be standing in front of you giving this talk. I'm also very moved that my poem that I'd forgotten about, The Giant, the Mermaid, and the Whale, that just came out in that meeting we had over Zoom, just came alive. So I'm just very touched by that as well. Thank you so much for all the kids in the room. Yeah, thanks, kids. Yeah. So I've named my talk The Path of the Beloved. What is it to embody love to the fullest possible capacity in each moment, in the face of anything, even the unacceptable? I do not claim to have the answer, only that I choose the beloved in my heart and in the words I write every day. And in so doing, I trust that the next brick in the path will light up, and then I will take another step, and then another. I want to give you a little bit of my backstory and how I find my way on this particular path as I understand it. I was born in Kuwait in 1964 to Palestinian parents from the West Bank. My father from Taibe, a Christian village near Ramallah. My mother from Beit Jala, adjacent to Bethlehem, if you're unfamiliar. My father died when I was 40 days old in a bus crash on the road between Taibe and Jericho. He was killed on his way to see my uncle in Amman, Jordan, about getting life insurance, since he now had a family. My mother was 28 years old. Her hair turned white overnight. You could say I was born into trauma, as a Palestinian and as a girl. I will not go into all the details of how this trauma propagated itself so thoroughly in me and in my life over the years to come, but suffice it to say that I received a windfall of maternal love, and not so much in the way of protection. My mother decided to join her family in Jordan. Kuwait and Jordan were typical places where Palestinians migrated in the face of violence and instability at home. The 1967 war brought more distress, along with challenges in my health. My mother chose at my doctor's behest to move to Canada, someplace fresh. I was raised in a house of women, mother, grandmother, and aunt. Brothers, uncles, in-laws came and went. I was never safe in the world of men. Having been marked as a toddler by the first of many abusers, I found myself tossed from the frying pan to the fire again and again. I internalized a world of pain. My body became hostile territory and a host of frozen memories. Yet through decades of inner work, meditation, therapy, and body work, I began to melt into waves of serenity. I have even come to see that someone who was violent and cruel in my childhood, for example, could become tenderized over the years of life, love, heartache, children, grandchildren, that I could learn to see him across the full spectrum of his colors, including his gentler ones as a brother, father, grandfather, that I could learn to understand his utterly unacceptable behavior in the context of what I began to perceive as a kind of virus in the ecosystem of my family, a tear in the fabric of consciousness through which something that was definitely unloving could enter and act. His trauma, wherever it came from and however far back it reached, led to mine. Not to excuse him or his actions, but to more fully see him, and eventually to make an empowered choice to forgive him, thereby releasing myself from the grip of my own rage and pain, never repeating the trauma again, and finding a way back into the homeland of my own body, where I had been unable to fully dwell, dissociated as I was for so much of my life. Not by waving a magic wand of spiritual superiority, nor bypassing the messy and excruciating truth, but by slowly and painstakingly letting it in so it could be, and I could be, returned to love. Even still, how could I ever turn the masculine into my beloved and not into the perpetual projection of my abusers bound to harm me, or my saviors doomed to fail? Some 12 years ago, my mother came to me in a dream to say, in Arabic, مش رح تخلصي من الزعل تمنك تقولي الزجل, which means you will not be free from your despair until you say the zajal. I didn't know the word zajal, but I looked it up and learned that it comes from an Arabic word that means to raise the voice in poetry and singing. So I began to write a poem every day. I used to call them my bad poems. They became a dialogue with the beloved in me, a daily dose of medicine, each entry ending with, I am my beloved's, and my beloved is mine. I am love, and the servant of love. In love's patient and generous embrace, the story of my past, the story that haunted me and occupied my nervous system like a court case running in the background of my life all the time, my story has faded into silence. And in the meantime, the story of Palestine has taken center stage. And wow, does this activate my pain and rage in a whole other way. Let me go back to my childhood, if I may. In multicultural Toronto, East York, Scarborough, where I lived, I never knowingly met a Jew. Only the soldiers when we went back home. And my high school friend Debbie's new stepmom, who refused to let me in the house when she learned I was Palestinian. It was not till university that I trepidatiously made some Jewish friends. Mostly, our conversations steered clear of Palestine and Israel. And no way would I attend anything publicly, culturally, spiritually Jewish, open to the world as I otherwise imagined myself. Then, in 1999, I met a man named David Bookbinder, and the walls of fear and othering in me began to crumble. I had a dream in which I was struggling with my identity as an activist. Was I a Palestinian solidarity activist, a human rights activist, a peace activist? I felt like a failure on all counts. And then a voice in the dream told me, "You are a love activist." And then I relaxed. This felt like the truth of me. I saw myself dressed in long white robes and walking as part of a continuum of other souls, stretching forward and back as far as I could see. We were walking on borders, lines carved into the earth by humans, and covering the borders with rose petals. I made this dream into a choreography with 10 fellow dancers, and I married David. Where fear and righteous rage had held on tight, love moved in. The weighty complexity of love. David was the founding artistic director of the Ashkenaz Festival, one of the largest Jewish festivals on the planet, a klezmer trumpeter, leader of Canada's Flying Bulgars. I used to call him, teasingly, the king of the Jews. And I wondered how a proud Palestinian and devotee of Arab culture such as me could have possibly found my way here. In the 7 years leading up to my wedding, I had a live-work studio on Spadina where I taught Arabic dance and music. The building was owned by Mrs. Britstone, who had a number from a concentration camp tattooed on her arm. I'd never met anyone like that before. Word was among the tenants that her teenage child had committed suicide in the apartment below me long before I moved in. One day as I was doing my dishes, a wave of exhaustion washed over me and I went and lay down on the floor. The studio floor that had been stenciled with brightly colored autumn leaves, save a circle in the center that marked the place where celebrated artist Gershon Ischkowitz, another Nazi camp survivor, used to paint. 4 visual artists had lived there between Gersh and me, each telling the next to leave the circle in his honor, along with some vodka in the freezer for his spirit, which I always did. As I lay in Gersh's circle, overcome by that sudden sleepiness, I slipped into another dream. A male voice spoke to me from an opening in the ceiling above and said, "You are going to feel the Holocaust." Something I can only describe as a drill of white light descended slowly from the ceiling and bored its way into my chest. I felt my heart expand till it nearly burst. It really hurt. And I realized that I had never actually let this in. Over the years, David's world awakened in me new levels of compassion and softening to the story of my enemy. I was drawn into a deep experience of Jewish culture different from Israel and the cruelty of the occupation, though I acknowledge they are related. And for the first time ever, I met Jews who actually stood up for Palestinian rights and dignity, actively, devotedly. This meant the world to me, especially because in 2003, David and I had a daughter. Fast forward to the fall of 2023. My birthday, to be precise, October 7th. Since that day that stirs me to my marrow and the genocide that continues to follow, my role as a love activist has never felt more challenging, devastating, and utterly humbling. Is there a love bigger than me that I can align with? That can love through me? Can I surrender to its wisdom and join with it in a graceful reciprocity beyond my mere humanity that is hurting, that is horrified, that just must resist what is so cruel and unjust? The beloved within me whispers that each time we align with and embody the architecture of love, the palpable filigree of interbeingness that awakens and softens our truest hearts, a portal opens up that we cannot necessarily see, and someone somewhere shifts from enmity to empathy, and the world is healed just a little bit. And that, for now, is enough for me to take one more step on the path of the beloved. And if I have a moment, maybe I can read you a little bit of my poetry. Be empty of all but me. I am your beloved, the tree of your purest essence, the circuitry of divinity coursing through the soil of your being. I am your future and the resolution to the dilemma of your past. I am the you have known yourself to be but found elusive. I am that you made manifest at last. I am my beloved's, and my beloved is mine. It is written like a story, the unfolding of your life. You have a say in the day-to-day, but the larger arc is predetermined, set in motion the day you are born. There is order and there is chaos in this form. The further you drift from the path that leads you home, the stronger the pull that brings you back. Stay the course to the house of love. That is where all stories lead. I am my beloved's, and my beloved is mine. Blessings flow to those who go willingly to the shelf and read the book that love wrote, a series, really. It starts when you take the first step in its direction. The words begin to flow into you even before you crack the cover. And when you do, what you'll discover is a validation for that which you already know. It is what you are made of. The words are a reminder, a formula to remember. If they are anything else, the book is a forgery, and you had better move on. I am my beloved's, and my beloved is mine. Build a ship made of tears. Send your sorrows floating into the ocean of love, where they will merge into life's eternal ebb and flow. You will no longer bear them as burdens or debts you are accountable for. How beautiful is this vessel, sheer as gossamer, clear as glass. Hear its song on the wind, melodies of yearning, stories of loss and incomparable joy. I am my beloved's, and my beloved is mine. Now I'll read one more if I may. A singer unafraid can open the vault of heaven and let it rain down its fury of love. This world needs nothing less. Open your voice, morning dove. Don't let despair shut down your sacred sound. Shine it brighter than ever. A gleaming sword to pierce the night of disconnection. A ticket home into ourselves. Tendrils of this love song flow out in all directions. Its work grows exponentially each time a note is sung. The world needs to be retuned and made new. This remaking is far more efficient in the form of a song. It creates a structural shift that resonates into all dimensions. It leaves everything to the imagination, exactly what is required to get us out of this mess. I am my beloved's, and my beloved is mine. And I wonder if we could sing a little song just to close it up here. And it's the first slide called Salli Usallim. We sang it, some of us who were here before. I'm going to grab my drum. Do you want to say the words with me? Salli Usallim, which we repeat. Al Habib. Sing prayers and greetings to the beloved. Salli usallim, salli usallim, salli usallim al habib. Salli usallim, salli usallim, salli usallim al habib. صلي وسلم صلي وسلم صلي وسلم على الحبيب 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 صلي وسلم صلي وسلم صلي وسلم الحبيب الحبيب. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's time for some meditation or prayer. Please take a moment to settle comfortably in your chair. Place your feet on the ground and imagine them reaching energetically down to the earth below. You can rest your hands and arms on your lap in a relaxed way and close or lower your eyes if that feels right. Take a calm and deep breath in and let it out slowly. Breathe easily and allow all cares and busy thoughts to drift away. This is a safe place and a space where you can feel at ease. This is a time for quiet reflection. Notice the sensation of the blowing or the sound of the fans, perhaps little noises elsewhere around us. It's the noticing that brings us to this moment fully. Perhaps contemplate on the feeling you received that was behind the message. And open your heart, feel its fullness. We'll have a time of silence, and then you will hear a chant to bring you deeper into meditation. Open your heart, open your heart, open your heart, open your heart, open your heart. please come back gently into our space. Maybe wiggle your toes. We now have a time for our offertory. Sharing of ourselves is part of every faith, and we know that volunteer efforts are essential. And though some of us may be enjoying summer break, the paying of our rent and salaries doesn't break for the summer. So, the services and programs we share are created and sustained by your contributions. The greeters will pass the baskets for those who choose to make contributions while Roula plays and teaches us a new song. Members of neighborhood choose a variety of ways to give, either through offerings in the basket, predated checks, e-transfers, and automatic withdrawals. There are donation envelopes and pens in the backs of the chairs in front of you if you'd like to use them. Whether you are online or in our sanctuary, you can use the link displayed on the screen, which leads you to our donation page on our website. And in all ways, I ask you to be generous, and I thank you for your generosity. Greeters, please bring the baskets to me when the money is collected, and we'll now pause. If you have found love and acceptance here, if you found home here, if you have known kindred spirits here, let this offering be a token of gratitude for our common life as we build the common good. David, could you please come forward to extinguish our chalice? We'll sing our chalice extinguishing song. Although our chalice has been darkened, we hold the fire within our own hearts. So let's rise. Let's form a circle. Perhaps take your neighbor's hand or touch their shoulder or touch elbows or just reach out towards each other, but so we can connect physically as we have spiritually. Roula will share our closing blessing.
In the circle with you. In the circle with you. May we grow our capacity and courage to receive the pain and poetry of the other, such that all othering may cease. May we surrender all that blinds us and impedes the way to peace. May we know the truth that we are all unique and magnificent manifestations of the divine source. And may this knowing set the people of this planet on the right and inevitable course to the love that we are made of. Blessings all.
Thank you. Our service is ended. Go in peace. Go in love.